yourself, Ram sir. Unmute yourself. Ram sir, unmute yourself. Ram sir, unmute yourself. Ram sir, unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry.
Now
Yes,
you can
sorry.
continue, sir.
Uh,
It's okay.
Good evening, everyone. I, Dr. Rameshwar Vishwakarma, welcome to all of you in 11th webinar series organized by Dr. Aisha in association with Samragee Homoeopathic Clinic. Today is our 4th day, and it's our fortunate to have Dr. Sunita Gandhi, ma'am, with us today. Heartily welcome, ma'am, and also welcome to all the participants for today's webinar session. It's very knowledgeful webinar, so get enjoyed to all viewers. Thank you, ma'am.
Hi guys, good evening. Myself Dr. Divyashree. A few words about Aisha. All India Homeopathic Students and Youth Association is one of the largest association of homeopathic students and youth of our country. This association plays a great role in the upliftment of youth and young homeopaths to take their responsibility on their shoulders. This is the association of the students, for the students, and by the students. The aim of this association is to work selflessly for the upliftment of ailing humanity. We live on the phrase united we stand and divided we fall. So, this is the right time for all the youth that across the country to come together and work for the betterment of the nation to make India the most powerful nation by devoting their time and work in the right direction for the nation. We organize free health camps, free seminars, free webinars, blood donation camps, and we have also developed our own library which we give to the students who are not able to afford books. Aisha family conducts its own OPDs at 9 remote village areas. We also promote scientific and research oriented mind of the young by publishing their articles or presentations or any kind of literature which is of value for the homeopathic fraternity and for the humanity in our magazine called Homeovision. We believe in the importance of time, so our motto is to awake, arise, and work before it's too late because aim says, I am always in motion. Our thoughts are our actions, so we believe in having a positive mindset to believe ourselves for rising above the mass, for achieving higher purposes of our existence. Thank you.
Good evening, one and all. So now to put forth the Samrage about Samrage Homeopathic Clinic. Homeopathy is an best system based on the teaching like cures like homeopathy claims to stimulate healing responses to diseases by administering substances that mimic the symptoms of those diseases in healthy people. To provide the treatment of this wonderful system, Vibha Mevada, who is a budding and enthusiastic homeopath, has started Samragee Homoeopathic Clinic on 4th February 2018 at Indore, Madhya Pradesh, India. Dr. Vibha Mevada did BHMS from Nashik University in 2015 and did CCH certified course in advanced homeopathy and MCH master course in advanced homeopathy, which are short-term PG course from the most prestigious institute, the Other Song Indian Academy of Advanced Homeopathy, Mumbai in 2016. And ma'am is a certified yoga instructor scholar by Certified Board, Ministry of Ayush and Government of India. Dr. Vibha has been trained under renowned homeopaths like Dr. Rajan sir, Dr. Dinesh Chauhan sir, Dr. Gaurav Gaikwad sir, and and took many national and international webinars, and her articles and cases are published in many prestigious platforms of like NJH, homeopathy.com, etc. Following the footsteps of father of homeopathy, Dr. Henneman, many diseases are also being treated at Samragee Homoeopathic Clinic. The main intent of Samragee Homoeopathic Clinic is to serve people. Several health camps, medical camps, and free yoga and aerobics workshops has been conducted at the clinic as a benefaction to people. There is no denying the talk that they do treat here their best to assure the satisfying result, leading to a lifeline to better health. Thank you.
Now let's bring up on screen the founder of Samragee Homeopathic Clinic, Dr. Vibha Mevada, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am. Ma'am, you muted yourself. Now it's okay.
So, good evening, all of you. As we all know that our today's speaker is Dr. Sunita Gandhi ma'am, and it's my fortunate and I'm very happy to introduce Sunita Gandhi ma'am today here. As Sunita Gandhi ma'am is a senior homeopath and practicing for the last 24 years in Mumbai. She has graduated from Mumbai and has done her post graduation from London College of Homeopathy, where she was mentored and trained by her guide Dr. Parinaz Humranwalla ma'am. She has done her fellowship from the Other Song International Academy of Advanced Homeopathy under the esteemed guidance of the world-renowned homeopaths Dr. Rajan, Sankaran and Dr. Jayesh Shah, sir. She consulted out of her own clinic at Lokhandwalla Andheri and is also a senior consultant at the Other Song Clinic. Her passion for healing the sick and spreading the awareness drew her to teaching the art and science of homeopathy, and she has been teaching advanced techniques in the practice of homeopathy in various courses held at the Other Song International Academy. Instead of this professional biodata of ma'am, as I know ma'am personally, I must say that ma'am is a really a dedicated teacher, a very good and kind-hearted person who is understand the student's mind, and according to that she is teaching always to student. As I'm a student of ma'am in the other, so when I was in the other song for the courses, ma'am was there to teach us, to guide us. So I can say where we are today, no doubt there is a contribution of ma'am also for that. And I'm really very happy to introduce you here today, ma'am. I thought what I learned from you in the other song, other students are going to learn from you on this platform today here. So thank you so much for giving us time, giving the accepting our invitation for today's webinar. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Now it's time to bring up our guest for tonight's show, means webinar, Dr. Sunita Gandhi, ma'am. Ma'am, all yours.
Good evening. It's an absolute pleasure to be with all of you today. And I take this opportunity to thank Aisha and all the organizers. I would like to thank Dr. Vibha for inviting me for this talk. She has been a very dedicated student at the other song and has been very, very interactive. And I'm so proud to see her growing so beautifully well here at different platforms. I see her teaching. So this is the vision that my seniors at the other song had. That is Dr. Sankaran, Dr. Jayesh, Dr. Mahesh Gandhi. All of them believe that homeopathy should progress to the next generation. And we were trained by them, and we are training the younger generation. And it is so heartwarming to see that the younger generation is flourishing so beautifully. And even your organization, Aisha, which is meant for the students, by the students, it is amazing that you are encouraging the youth, the younger homeopaths, to learn and get forward. So I feel very blessed to see the newer generation taking the ropes and moving ahead. So it's really, really nice. So thank you. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Dr. Vibha, and all the organizers. So today I'm going to be talking about an interesting topic, something that has touched my heart immensely. And I have seen a lot of patients suffering with this so called mental disorder, but um, you know, very, very difficult to reach out. And specifically now in this lockdown period, this disorder has heightened to such an extent that I thought I will talk about it today. Anxiety and panic attacks. Seemingly sounding simple and basic, but I'll tell you, ask those people who are suffering. It is it is a major disorder for them. I will be discussing, a case which really, really aggravated in this lockdown period, and how it beautifully improved. But before that, let me give you a little background on what anxiety and panic is all about. See, generalized anxiety disorder is a mental health disorder which is characterized by a feeling of worry, anxiety, or fear. Worry, anxiety, and fear can be there normally with all of us. But when it becomes strong enough to interfere with our daily activities, that's the time you will call it an anxiety disorder. It hampers your routine, it hampers your day to day activity. It becomes difficult to manage your basics because the anxiety is so huge. Anxiety disorders can be of different types. We can have a generalized anxiety disorder or a specific phobia. I had a patient, a young girl in her 10th standard. I mean, she was 16-year-old and she had a major phobia of balloons. And the sight of balloons could throw her into a complete frenzy. With the help of homeopathy, we could ease her life. I mean, sounding she's scared of balloons, she gets anxiety with balloons, but she would become like a mad woman the moment she saw a balloon, and that terrified her. She could not do anything when she saw a balloon. And she was 16-year-old, she was not 2 years old, that it was okay to be scared of something like that. It was a disorder, it required treatment. We can have patients with social anxiety, like social phobias, not wanting to be outside of the house, of their comfort zone, wanting to be indoors, not communicate with people. Or there could be separation anxiety disorder, which could be because of either separation from a person or separation from a place. Leaving a town, leaving a house, changing homes could lead to a complete panic state. Those who suffer realize that. Or it could be agoraphobia, a kind of fear being in a place that can instill a panic situation. It could be anything. It could be like maybe getting into a plane, and that could kind of throw you into a frenzy of panic that you do not see a way out. That could be agoraphobia. And of course, panic disorders, which I will discuss a little more in length. But whichever is the disorder which we have mentioned, all of them may have their own characteristic symptoms, but they must include the symptom of anxiety. What are the causes of anxiety disorders? Some of them can be partly genetic. Some may be due to using drugs. It could be drugs like alcohol, caffeine, or the other drugs that are available now, getting into the habit of um, the not so popular drugs. Or they could be withdrawal symptoms from certain drugs. But anxiety disorders can also be associated with other mental disorders. Like a major depressive disorder will have symptoms of anxiety along with it. A bipolar disorder. What's a bipolar disorder? It's a maniacal situation where you have mood swings. Either you can be in a very heightened mood with almost mimicking mania, or you could be in a completely depressive mood, having two different distinct sides, a bipolar. Or certain personality disorders like paranoia, paranoid personality disorder, or schizoid personality disorder. All of this can come up with anxiety. Even eating disorders, which are very, very common these days, bulimia, binge eating disorder, anorexia nervosa. I mean, seeing the younger generation being very conscious about self, being conscious about how they present themselves, it is very, very common to see them coming up with eating disorders. And that also is a disorder that can be helped so beautifully with homeopathy. So, till now, all these problems that I have spoken about, there is hope. So, I would urge people who feel that they have any of this to come out and talk to their homeopath. We are listening. We are there to listen to you. We are there to take you through this and help you come out of it. It is very, very important to come and talk. There is no shame left in mental disorders any longer. There was a time when, when you had to visit a person who will treat you for a mental disorder, people looked down upon. But I think the coming in of social media, people talking about it openly, that has been the best thing that has happened. You come out and talk. And I think meet a homeopath who not only will take you through the whole process, but will help you treat with very safe, gentle medicines. The emotion presents in anxiety disorders can be from very simple nervousness to major bouts of terror. It can also mimic some symptoms like hypothyroidism. And we see that, females are twice as much affected than males. So a lot of women folk get affected, but we don't neglect the men. Even men can come up with mental disorders and anxiety disorders. So, what are the common symptoms that we see in generalized anxiety disorder? The main thing is a constant state of worry. And along with that, you will have difficulty either in sleeping or exaggerated worry, muscle tension, startling easy, and a physical symptom of headaches. Any of this with a constant and exaggerated state of worry helps us come to generalized anxiety disorder. You have to say excessive worry with three or more of the following things: either excessive worry with restlessness, with fatigue and tiredness, concentration problem, not being there, where in the present, not being able to concentrate. Like I had a case, she attended a seminar. She could completely tell us verbatim what the seminar was about. But when we asked her to explain certain things, she completely went blank. She could not focus. She could not, kind of write a précis on the seminar because she did not understand it. The mind is completely full of worry. There can be muscle tension, a lot of neck tensions, a lot of people carry their anxiety there. A lot of people carry their anxiety in the back muscles, irritability, and very often sleep disturbances. I think sleep disturbances are one of the major problems, either waking too frequently, not able to sleep, sleeping when it's time to wake up. All of these can be different things that can be associated with the chronic disorder. How do we diagnose? Diagnosis of GAD, that is generalized anxiety disorder, is when a person has been excessively worried about an everyday problem for 6 months or more. A person may find problems in making daily decisions, remembering commitments as a result of lack of concentration, or preoccupation with worry. The appearance is strained. There could be excessive sweating, either hands, feet, axilla, wherever. We also see generalized anxiety disorders in children. So, it can start as early as 8 or 9 years of age. And it is associated with vague symptoms. Children will come up with abdominal pains. It's one of the commonest things. Headaches, restlessness. But if you sit with your homeopath and they see your symptoms, it is easily able. It is. I mean, they are easily able to diagnose that this is a anxiety disorder and not just some physical symptoms, and it can be treated. And it is best to take help early. So, if there are some parents here listening to us today, I would urge you, do not neglect your children's symptoms. If they come and tell you that, if they're constantly complaining of abdominal pains or headaches, don't neglect. This could be the beginning of GAD for them. Let's come to a specific disorder in GAD, which is called panic disorder or panic attacks. The number of cases of panic attacks that I have seen in this lockdown period has been huge, because of all the problems that the lockdown has caused. Um, Working from home, or no jobs, being removed or sacked, or working with half the pay. I know people who are working with 25% pay and 200% more work. Lot of these kind of people have come up with different kind of panic attacks. Now I'm going to run you through the symptoms of panic attack. But as a homeopath, our medicine for each patient is different. We do not have one medicine for all the patients who are going through anxiety or panic. We will sit with you, understand you, what are your symptoms, and what is your underlying strain, or what is your underlying pattern which is causing you the panic attack, and help you heal that. And the results are marvelous. What is a panic attack? An anxiety disorder that is characterized by sudden attacks of fear and panic. So the fear could be about anything. It can occur for any reason. But most times we have seen in panic attack that there's a trigger factor, something that triggers off a panic attack. Let's say I had a patient, she used to come to me at the other song. I mean, I say she used to come to me because right now we are working from home. And our clinic is on the 10th floor. She called me from the ground floor and she said, Doctor, I cannot enter the lift. I am shivering. I cannot speak. Then somebody else took the phone from her and said, we don't know. I think she's getting a heart attack. I said, seriously? And we rushed down to see what happened. She was actually having a panic attack. She was shivering. Her heartbeat was high. She was perspiring from her head. And I was like, what is happening? She said there was no lift man and I was going to enter the lift alone. And I suddenly came up with the fact, what if the lift doesn't open? It was not a lift which has the grills. It was a completely closed lift. And she has an underlying claustrophobia fear. And she felt that she will die in this closed environment. Now, just running up 10 floors in a lift caused her a panic attack. So anything, any trigger factor can cause panic. We will see that in our case. I had another patient who got into a frenzy even with the thought of entering into an airplane. What was an airplane for him? Airplane was that I am inside, the door is locked, and now we are above in the sky, and there is no method of leaving if there is a situation. If something happens there, if he falls sick, if there is something, the doors are shut, he cannot leave. So it has been 10 years that when he came to me, that he had not taken a trip on the flight. He took any holiday where he could go by road or he could go by train. And train also, he would never take the first class. Now, he could afford the first class, he could afford plane travel, but he could not go by air or by a AC train because everything was closed, and that would cause a panic. So imagine 10 years suffering in this situation and the family suffering. You don't know when this person will have an attack, which can almost mimic something like a cardiac arrest. Some symptoms of panic attacks. Very often there is palpitations, rapid heartbeat. It's almost like that fright or flight response that you will see whenever there is a sudden threat. So heartbeat rises. They can have weird sensation. They can have shortness of breath. They can even have like dyspnea. That's the kind of wheezing they can have. There can be dizziness. There can be trembling of hands, like I told you about that patient who was about to enter the lift. There can be a lot of anxiety, sweating, hot or cold flushes, sudden perspiration. Some patients can even have a choking feeling, a feeling that every control is going to get lost and they will die. Very often, patients with panic attacks have fear of dying. The mouth can go dry, there can be ringing in the ears. I had a patient recently who would have completely blocked ears, and he has gone from one ENT surgeon to another to rule out if there is any problem inside. And there was nothing, no ENT doctor could make out anything for his ear block. But every time his panic attack came whenever he had a ear block. So actually, it was the anxiety that rose that caused the ear block, and that caused the panic. So panic disorders are really, really disabling disorders, but it can be controlled. It can be successfully treated. Today, I'm here to tell you, don't worry. It can be treated, and homeopathy has an answer to this. Sometimes patients get so frenzied with it, they go, because I told you earlier also, it can mimic physical illnesses like life-threatening cardiac arrest or heart attack. I have seen patients rushing from one doctor to the other, thinking they have some major disorder. I had a patient 2 days back, again a case of immense anxiety. He sent me a whole video about the vagus nerve causing some problem with the abdomen, and that causing the panic. I said, hello, relax. Don't go on to Google too much. Don't go on to YouTube too much. Although we are today going to be live on YouTube, but don't go speak to your doctor. Don't take help of social media when it comes to a medical condition, because they tell you the worst. Sometimes it's good to get knowledge, but a patient who's suffering, if they get you, everything I think leads to the ultimate disorder. Why go through it? They will go through one investigation. They'll spend thousands and lakhs on investigations to find out what is the cause. But actually, you will see nothing in their medical records. There'll be no changes in their investigations, because this is not a pathological disorder. And this cycle just continues. This is called the panic cycle. You get the anxiety with any kind of trigger factor, you get a panic attack. The panic leads to more fear. The more fear leads to more anxiety. The more anxiety leads to another attack, and the other attack leads to fear again. So the fear, anxiety, panic keeps going one after the other, and this cycle needs to be broken. And this cycle we can break with the help of the right constitutional homeopathic medicine. I'm going to talk to you about a case that recently came. He's been coming to us from almost 4 years. We first saw him in March 2016. He was 44 years old that time. And his chief complaint was sleep apnea. He was overweight. He had a very thick neckline. And that's why he would wake up in the middle of the night, no breath, and suddenly come up and would need to breathe. So we put him on the CPAP machine for some time, and that helped him. But slowly he could not sleep with that machine also. And there were a lot of sleep disturbances, completely unwell, unrefreshed feeling, had low energy levels. He could not carry his day on. He had a history of having lost his mother to a dreaded disease, and his mother was everything to him. He was very, very dependent. I mean, like at whatever 40 years when his mother died, he was like a baby to the mother still. And losing his mother was the biggest cause. So we helped him that time come out of this situation. The CPAP machine was off, his anxiety levels were taken care of. But very recently in the lockdown, he came to us in the month of July. So it was, I think, almost 3 or 4 months of the lockdown had happened. And he said, Doctor, I am totally uncontrollable. Do something, and major panic attacks. So I'm going to share with you his symptoms. So let us, as homeopaths, differentiate the the symptoms of the disease and the symptoms of the patients, and not just prescribe on the disease symptoms. So we will talk more about it, but I'm going to just tell you verbatim how he came and spoke to me. And trust me, for 3 months, I think he has been calling me at least once a day, messaging me 3 4 times in a day, every time wanted that the medicine get changed, that something you could do that could help him. So these are the excerpts from the case, and I'm going to tell you, he's very rapid paced and very, very you know hectic speech. Is sometimes my heart rate would go high even looking at him. His speech was very, very hurried, and very often I had to tell him, look, listen, I am typing while you talk to me, so just go a little slow. He says, Doctor, I am uncontrollable. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I get a panic attack. What happens? My forehead is sweaty. I'm scared about the day. I'm fully anxious, full day. I don't know what to do. Panic comes at any time. Sometimes I get a panic attack every 10 minutes. Can you imagine now, like he's 48? A 48-year-old man coming and telling us that the whole day goes in panic. I want to run away from the situation. Everything looks so new. I don't know where I am. I just want to leave the house. I want open air. I just feel stuck in the house. I don't know what to do. Saying, I wake up in the morning, I don't want to go to the washroom. I feel so claustrophobic. I feel stuck. I want to rush out. I can't even drink water. As the water goes down my throat, I'm stuck. I was like, what's happening to you? And then he started crying. He said, Doctor, it's completely a hopeless situation. Will I ever get better? I think I'm going to die. I'm so suicidal. I want to kill myself. I can't live in this zone. I mean, I felt my blood pressure rose in, and I felt a little tremble in my hands when I heard him speak. He gets so restless. This is what he said exactly. He said, yesterday I was standing from 10 a.m. in the morning, walking all around, and I did not sit. I sat down at 7 p.m. I He was eating very little, but he maybe ate like one or two morsels 2 3 times a day. And he said, I eat that only standing. I cannot sit. I want to walk. I want to, and when he was speaking to me, he said, right now when I talk to you, doctor, I'm not in my house. My friend has taken me in the car out. My windows are open, and I want to breathe. I cannot breathe. Do something. I'm better outside the house. The moment I think I have to go back home, my panic comes up again. I'm unable to breathe. My nose is blocked. At night when I sleep, my nose gets blocked. My ears get blocked. I get so much palpitation. My concentration is zero. He works with a very good organization and he has a lot of meetings to attend. He's saying, I'm not able to work. We have work from home and I'm at a senior post. But what do I do? I cannot work. Help me, doctor, help me. My hands become numb, my feet become numb. I don't feel like eating. He had lost some 8 9 kilos in these 4 months, and because he was not able to eat, I mean, I was happier in a way. He had lost weight because he was quite obese, but losing weight because of a disorder, not the best thing. And there was terrible weakness, terrible feeling low. I feel I will fall. He could not. Sometimes he felt I have to drag myself at times. I feel so weak. I feel there's no energy in me. I feel so dull. And one thing that bothered him a lot was noise. He's saying, I don't like anybody. He's got 2 kids. Seeing children play around, children make noise. Nowadays, my wife has put my children in another room. Just imagine, I'm not able to tolerate my own children. I cannot tolerate that chatter. That noise is too much. Even if the TV is on, I cannot tolerate it. I mean, just imagine this is a day, a normal day in this person's life and happening for days together. He says, come as soon as the night comes, and I know I have to go home. I will have to eat. I will get the ear block, and then again I will start panicking, and then the anxiety increases, and then I start crying. So can you see the panic cycle goes on and on, and it doesn't stop. He sleeps a few hours and wakes up in the morning and says, the first thing which happens when I wake up in the morning is panic attack. So he wakes up into panic and he sleeps into panic. What a dreaded place to be. What a dreaded place to be. I'm telling you, not a good place to be. He didn't give me, he spoke for like 1 hour in this same frenzy. There was no even breath that I could ask him the next question. But finally, I got a chance and I said, tell me, what makes you feel better in this panic? He said, I want to be with my wife. I want to hold her hand. I love it when she hugs me. She holds me. My wife should be hugging and holding my children because he's got 2 small children. Saying my children are crying when they see me in this situation. But my wife sits and hugs me tight and I feel better. I weep in her arms. She's the only one who can help me in this attack. So that's the only thing that makes him better. So you see, we saw all the symptoms of the panic. But now, this is where the homeopath comes into picture. These are the general symptoms of panic. But it is very important, as Dr. Hahnemann also says, that we need to find out the causative factor. How did this start? What happened? So I asked him a question. Tell me, what was happening in your life when the panic attack started? This is what we call ailments from or causative factor. Tell us how this started. He said there was one thing. The COVID thing was bothering me. Now, this COVID thing was bothering me. We have heard a lot of patients say. But we want to know what about this COVID thing is bothering him. I was afraid of the situation. People come up with different things. Don't think that the COVID situation means that they're scared of death or they're scared of getting a disease that could cause the death of them or a dear one. Here, his situation was completely different. And it was like a complete shock to me when he said, if I get the COVID thing, in inverted commas, I will be quarantined. The BMC people will come and take me away, and then they will put me in a closed room. And the thought of being in a closed room is unbearable. I will be stuck there and I will not be able to breathe. I mean, even the thought of being in a room is unbearable. So, can you see now We heard this before when he said he's getting a panic attack, he wants to rush out. He cannot stay in the house. He cannot drink water, it causes him claustrophobia. He cannot go to the bathroom because it's a small closed place. And now the ailments from is, if I get COVID, I will be quarantined. I will be quarantined. I will have to stay in a closed room. And that thought is unbearable. To be stuck there is unbearable. Strange, no? What different patients have different perspectives. That is the beauty of homeopathy, because we will reach there, help them with their own pattern and help heal that pattern. He said there was a second thing. My wife fell very ill in this period. When she was ill, I was able to manage the situation when she was sick. That time I wasn't anxious. But after she became okay, that's the time that my anxiety became more. He said, I suddenly started feeling if something happens to her, how will I survive? I feel my wife will not live too long. I am so dependent on her. I will not be able to manage myself when she is not there. She is my comfort zone. She is the only one who manages me in the panic attacks. I hold on to her hand. She hugs me. That's the only way that I feel comforted when I have a panic attack. So what will happen to me after the wife is not there? So, can you see what happened in the time before the panic attacks? One, the COVID situation. Second, the wife falling ill, and this was his response. My next question was, tell me your dreams. Dreams also tell us about the subconscious. I said, what have you been seeing? He's saying, I saw a very, very close friend recently that I'm not even so in touch with him, but he's really dear to me and he has got cancer. I panicked and I woke up. I said, what did you feel in that dream? He's saying, I was so scared. I lost the one person in my life who I cared for the most to cancer. I lost my mother to cancer. It was a completely panicky dream. I was damn sure that this is going to happen to me or it is going to happen to somebody in my family. I will get it, or my dearest and nearest ones will get it. And that was again causing the panic. So, this was primarily the case. The symptoms of the panic, the causative factors, the dreams. So, tell me now, what do we want to give him? If you want to write in the chat box, what do you think is his remedy? Or if you don't come to the remedy, even if you want to say something about what you feel about this case. Anybody? I'm waiting for the chat box to open up. People can write thoughts on the case. Anything. Column 1, complete clinging. Good. Very good thought. Who is this? Tech Master? I don't know. Um, very good. Anything else? Aconite, mental restlessness. All right. Nice. Lavanya. Give me your inputs, guys. See, people can have different thoughts. Sodium. Okay. Natrum, that means. Column 1, row 3. Okay, there's only one person who has thoughts to this case. Anybody else? Natrum muriaticum. Okay. Dr. Vibha, any inputs from you? Row 3. So you've already come to the mineral kingdom. All right, see, so I'll tell you how I work this case. All right, good. Thank you for your inputs. Yeah. And I'm a classical homeopath for many, many years. I'm practicing now for 24 years. And I have been practicing classical homeopathy. So my first idea is to repertorize the case. So all the symptoms that I saw, I put on the repertory sheet. So let's see what are the symptoms that I took. Everything that was there, his symptoms of panic and also his delusions. Okay, Dr. Vinaya. All right, that's how you've written your name as Tech Master, Dr. Vinaya. Thank you for your inputs. All right. So, anxiety, Dr. Hetal Mehta, clinging mental restlessness, dependent. Yes, very good. I like that. Even you, kind of coming to the themes that you come up. Clinging is true, mental restlessness is there, highly dependent is there. Okay, very good. So the rubrics that I took, okay, difficult respiration with anxiousness, anxiety, occupation diversion ameliorates, delusion is about to die, anxiety with palpitations. He wakes up into a panic, so frightened easily on waking, anxiety with weakness. He said he was lethargic, unable to move, dull, drowsy. And he loves to walking ameliorates. And weeping, tearful mood after anxiety. See, there are not many remedies here, 33 remedies only. Respiration difficult with the nose block he was getting because of the anxiety. Fear, panic attacks, overpowering, besides oneself being. Anxiety on waking, that he wakes up into a panic, fear of death. And then, like how somebody said, restlessness, nervousness drives one from place to place, must move. Wasn't that a very, very peculiar symptom in him? Open air ameliorates. So I took all his symptoms of him as a person and his panic, and I got a host of remedies covering, almost out of the 15 rubrics, like we have so many covering. Calcarea carb ranking the highest. Then there was a mon carb, arsenic, aconite, nux swamica, spongia, lycopodium, phosphorus, natrum mure, belladonna, stramonium, with all the fear that we have seen, the Solanaceae family, veritrim, sulfur, ignatia. So now what to do? So this is always my problem. When I repertorize a case, now I need to select a remedy from this. And lot of the medicines are covering. So then what I do, this is a guideline. Repertorization is a tool. It helps me to come to a narrow group of remedies. But let us understand the themes of this case. What was the main experience that we saw in this case? One, we saw total dependence. Yeah, like how Dr. Hetal said, dependent, clinging. And the second was this feeling of being stuck that came up again and again. Feeling of being stuck in the room, feeling of being stuck in the bathroom, even while drinking water, there was that feeling, and the desire to go out in the open. Wasn't these are strange feelings that we saw not just in the panic attack, but also in the ailments from when the panic attack started. So, if we see the sensation words here, one, he's extremely dependent on his family. First, his mother, and now his wife. The trigger of the panic attack was the wife's illness, the sudden fear of what will happen to me without her. How will I survive without her? And the main feeling, yes, the fear of closed room and wanting to escape, Dr. Vinaya, wanting to go out in the open, being stuck and cannot breathe. So these were the words that came up, right? So when we will differentiate the kingdoms, what kingdom do you think the patient belongs to? Mineral, animal, or plant? We have come to the central idea of the case, the main experience of the patient. And now we want to take it to the next step. So some people spoke about aconite, that's plant kingdom. Some people said mineral kingdom, and they also described the row and the column. No, the column, sorry. Now, one thing was for sure that we do not see anything of the animal kingdom here. There wasn't a me against you. Whatever was happening was not because of somebody else doing something to him. Or nor was there, a heightened sensitivity and reactivity to a situation. What we saw primarily was all about him. It was his anxiety, it was his fear, it was his life, all about him. And he was highly dependent on one close family member. That one close family member was always needed. First, it was his mother, and now it is his wife. And it was a naive, childlike dependence. And there was anxiety about his separation. So it was all about his capability and his capacity to be on his own. And that is the mineral kingdom. Do I have the capacity to take care of myself? Do I have the capacity to be by my own? Yes, it's about structure. And you know what? The main feeling about this case is the feeling of the row 2 of the periodic table. Somebody did say row 3, which is the closest to row 2. But what is the experience? The row 3 is about needing the love, care, and nourishment, developing one's identity. But row 2 is the experience of a baby, a child who loves the controlled, protected, comfortable, cozy environment. And he's dependent most often on the family member who is closest to them. So at 44, also his mother, till his mother died, it was the mother. And then later, it was his wife who was the mother figure to him. And when the wife hugged him, when the wife held him, when the wife comforted him, he felt safe in the panic attack. He felt that was his comfort zone. So, what is the experience of a person who is in the road to? So, this is the womb. This is where the child feels totally protected from the outside world because the womb takes care of them. So let's see the road to. Somebody said lithium carb as a remedy. Good choice. Let's see further. What are the elements of the road to? We have lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, and neon. So on this is the left side of the periodic table. This is the right side. So, what do we see on the left side of row 2? The feeling is that the shell will disappear and I will be left with no covering. I will be exposed and I can't stand it. My God, it's so scary to be out. It's so scary. I want the comfort of the womb. And once you reach the center and go towards the right of the periodic table, the fear is, oh God, now I will be stuck in the shell. I will not be able to come out. The shell will get tighter and tighter, and I want to get out of here. I want to be free. I want to breathe. I want oxygen. That's what you will see when the patient passes from carbon to nitrogen to oxygen. They need to be free. Can we see the both sides coming up? The wanting to be comforted, the wanting the shell, but also feeling stuck in the shell, feeling that it's claustrophobic here. I want to move out. I want to not be stuck here forever. So, what is the patient's expression? Can't be without the mother, now the wife. Only my wife can handle me in panic attacks. My comfort zone. This is a complete expression of row 2. Yes, so nitrogen wants to escape. Birth canal theme. Okay, very good. So now you have moved from natriumur to lithium to nitrogen. Very good. I'm glad that you're getting better. But you know what? We see different features coming along. There is the feeling of carbon, the drained out, weak, not able to manage without her. The feeling that I'm getting into the new, not understanding, disoriented, like the carbon. And the second is the feeling of nitrogen, the feeling of being quarantined. The ailments from what if I get COVID? If I get COVID, I will be quarantined. I will be in a closed room. I will be stuck and will not be able to come out. That is the nitrogen. What is nitrogen? The passage of the child through the birth canal. I mean, attributing to that. And finally, wants to go out, wants to breathe, feels suffocated, wants to take a breath of fresh air. He said, I'm 40% better if I just go out of the house, wanting oxygen. So we see features of three elements of row 2: carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen. So in carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen, when we move from the center to the right of the periodic table in row 2, you see constriction, narrowness, pressing, closed, claustrophobia, suffocation, and the need to come out quickly, to be able to breathe, else I will die. The need for oxygen. So, what do you think this remedy can be? This remedy must contain all the three elements: carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen, because this case has features of all three. Any inputs? Which remedy of the second row of the periodic table has got carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen? And that's the remedy this patient got. Lithium nitrate. Nitrate, okay. Nitrate, but where is lithium? Lithium, the lithium is the first column of the row 2. Even the thought of separation is not possible. They are so into the mother figure that even the idea has not occurred that they will separate. And this case, they want the support, but they want to move out. So I will not agree with lithium. Nitrate, okay, because it's got nitrogen, oxygen. Anybody else? A remedy that has carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen. Should I? Anybody wants to answer? It's amon carb. What is the formula for amon carb? NH42CO3. So it's got oxygen, it's got carbon, and it's got nitrogen. All the three in one remedy. And we gave this patient amon carb, and we gave it to him in the 10M potency because the case was at the sensation level. The case was very heightened. And what happened after 3 months? I took his follow up just before our lecture, and he was so happy. Initially, the first 1.5 months was absolutely harrowing. I cannot tell you, harrowing for him and harrowing for me, because he would call up, his wife would call up, and I would have a panic attack every time I saw his call, because I knew that this patient was suffering. It took him some time to settle down, but he was much better. So much so he said, I am overall 80 to 90% better, and your base medicine is fantastic. He's saying, I'm able to control the panic attack. Panic happens with a trigger. He feels anxious at times. When he's making an office call, he says, I do get a little bit of anticipatory anxiety, but as soon as the call starts, I'm much better. My depression has reduced a lot. Panic has reduced. I don't get ear blockage. I haven't visited a doctor in the last 1 month. Otherwise, he would go from one doctor to the other every time, giving me 10 reports that I have now got these tests done. Now I have met the diabetologist. Now I've met the ENT. I have met a cardiologist. Every few days he was visiting some doctor. He's saying now that has completely gone. His pace had become less. He was talking more gently. He's telling me, please don't change the medicines. I still need the medicines. That was his dependence. But this is fantastic what you're doing. Your base medicine is great. I am completely sorted as far as the panic attacks is concerned. He still has a little bit of anxiety, but I think that will also settle down as time comes. And this was the most beautiful thing that happened. He's eased off. His family has eased off. He's able to play with his children again, which he was just not able to, because all the time it was all about him. It was just I, me, and myself, and about his anxiety and about his panic. So he did beautifully on this remedy. And I would like to end by saying anxiety is something very difficult to deal with. It's like being followed by a voice, and this voice knows of all your insecurities, and this voice uses them against you. It gets to a point when it's the loudest voice in the room. That's the only voice that you can hear. It's not an easy thing to cope with. But the good news is, with the lot of patients that we've been able to help in this zone, there is huge scope in the treatment of different anxiety and panic disorders with homeopathic medicines. And what is the answer? You need to be a patient homeopath, because the mental disorder patients are very troubled, and they will trouble you also a lot. But you need to be patient. You need to find the well selected homeopathic remedy. Go deeper, find out what is the cause, find out how did this start, find out the ailments from, find out his pattern. you know when a patient comes with an acute condition or an acute mental disorder, that's the best time to find the right constitutional homeopathic medicine for him, because he will come up with a lot of symptoms, and that's great news for a homeopath. So they come up with their inner self even more. The anxiety will throw out symptoms even more, which will help us select the right homeopathic medicine. And yes, be patient with them. Yes, be considerate with them. Be humane. They may not have a condition that is showing on reports. They may not have a condition that requires them to be hospitalized. They may not be in a condition which people accept beautifully well, but they are suffering. And we as homeopaths can really, really help. So I would like to end with this, that there is huge scope in homeopathy in treating anxiety disorders and in treating panic disorders. So reach out to your homeopath and take help, because it is totally curable. It is totally controllable, totally curable. And if you have any questions, any queries, do write up on the chat box. This is also my email address, drsunitagandhi1 at gmail.com. Feel free to write to me. I do reply back within a day, and I will be happy to help. If there's anything, um, any questions right now, I'll be happy to answer. Somebody asked the repetition, or initially we repeated amon carb, I think, on a weekly basis. Slowly, we have reduced it, and now he is, I think, last we repeated a month back. So he's done very, very well. And we repeated in the high potency because the condition was bad. Any other question? So
Ma'am,
answer.
Vinaya ma'am is asking about the vicious cycle, ma'am.
The panic cycle.
Vicious cycle, ma'am.
The vicious cycle, that means you're talking about the panic cycle, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so what happens in the panic cycle? The panic, anxiety, and fear keeps repeating one after the other. Fear leads to anxiety. Anxiety gives you a panic attack. Every time you get a panic attack, the fear increases. The fear increases, the anxiety increases. The anxiety increases, you get a panic attack again. So, this is a vicious cycle. This keeps going on and on and on. And somewhere you have to treat it. So now, in this vicious cycle, what happened? Because of the remedy, the panic attack settled, and therefore the fear settled. The little bit of anxiety is still there, but now it's not going round and round. He's able to lead a normal life. That is a vicious cycle that we talk about, which we were able to break with the right homeopathic medicine.
Ma'am, another question from Vinaya ma'am. Ma'am, why
Okay.
not lithium?
I did explain this. Lithium is column 1 of the second row of the periodic table. In lithium, they are totally one with the mother figure. The very thought of separation is not possible also in the mind. Now, this person likes the shell, likes the covering, likes the mother figure, but also along with that has in him the desire to break free, like the nitrogen, is feeling stuck and is feeling claustrophobic there and wants to move out and breathe, wants to get out in the open. So a lithium will not, can't even think of separation. They won't move out only. So not lithium. That's the reason why. This is more a remedy which is
Thank
going
you,
on the right side. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope Dr. Vinaya ma'am has got the answer. Ma'am, another question from Sayan Chatterjee, second year BS student, ma'am. Ma'am, out
Yes.
of you, please tell me, is Kendall syndrome related to, if yes, what's the best treatment?
I'm not able to hear this question. Can you type it? Somebody asked the
Hello,
miasm
ma'am.
panic disorder. Yeah, miasm of panic. 1 second. Huh?
Hello, ma'am.
I can't hear you.
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you now. Tell me.
Ma'am, the question is from Sayan Chatterjee, second year BHMS student, ma'am. Ma'am,
Okay.
out of all, can you please is Stendhal syndrome related to panic? If yes, what's the best cure? This is ma'am.
See, Stendhal syndrome is a condition that is it's got different symptoms. It's got physical and mental symptoms, right? And again, there's psychosomatic symptoms involving rapid heartbeat. There's fainting. There's confusion. There's hallucinations. This is also a mental disorder which can be treated. Now, it's a different disorder from panic disorders, but yes, we can. It's a disorder that can be helped beautifully with homeopathy. The method of going into it is the same: taking the whole case, reaching to the main core or the crux or the essence of the case, and selecting the right medicine that will heal their pattern. So yes, we can beautifully treat even Stendhal syndrome with homeopathy.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope Sayan Chatterjee has got the answer. Another question from Dr. Hital Mehta, ma'am. What is the
Okay.
miasmatic diagnosis in anxiety and panic disorder, ma'am?
See, anxiety disorder will be a very huge, foray. It has the bipolar disorders. It will have the maniac disorders. It will have the depressive disorders. So there, from case to case, it will be different. Panic is more like an acute miasm. It is now the fright and flight response. So that's how.
Okay, ma'am. That's how I hope Dr. Hital Mehta, ma'am, has got the answer. Over to
Yes.
you, Viva, ma'am. Vote of thanks. Viva, ma'am. Viva, ma'am, we can't hear you, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. We can't hear you, ma'am.
So, thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us today. As you very rightly said in the beginning of the session, that it's very important to talk on the mental health actually, which is very avoidable topic for the society, as it's a mental disease. It's still a taboo to talk, but am I audible now?
Yes, I can hear you, Dr. Vibha.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, but I'm not muted from here. I'm unmuted from my side.
I can hear you.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible, ma'am.
Dr. Lavanya, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible, ma'am. Dr. Vibha, ma'am.
Dr. Lavanya, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible, ma'am. Dr. Vibha, ma'am. You are audible.
Okay. Now am I audible? Just tell me, am I audible, Lavanya? Am I audible, Dr. Lavanya?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible, ma'am. There is a small network issue, guys. Please excuse for us. So,
Am I
thank you
audible
for
now?
enlightening us.
Please tell
Yes,
me.
ma'am. You are audible, ma'am.
Okay, so I thought I'm audible now.
What's the problem, ma'am? Is there any
Okay,
problem with
so
you, Vibha ma'am?
what I said is okay. Okay. Thank you, Ram sir and Lavanya. Okay. So, thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us today. As you very rightly said in the beginning of the session, that it's very important to talk on the mental health, as this topic is still a yeah. Thank you so much for being with us today, ma'am. And you are very rightly said that we are going to talk on the mental health. Yeah, and it's talk on mental health, but this is the so thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us today. Yeah, I'm talking. Might be some network issues from my side, maybe. Okay, so
There may be some network issue from your side, ma'am. As you are being audible, you just kept quiet for such a long time. I was watching live, so that's why I came in. So no problem, ma'am. You can continue, but your audio is not syncing with your video. That's the main problem. Thank you, ma'am, for joining with us. I hope you have enjoyed our session, like our session. And to all viewers, thank you all for joining. I think you also loved our session, and if you do so, please make sure to give it a like on this video, share it to your fellow mates, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook. So thank you. Thanks again. We will see you next time. Mukherjee on behalf of Aisha. Peace out.